Welcome everyone. Today we have a few important discoveries that I want to share with you guys. Now firstly, look at my experience. I'm currently level 83 with 33%. And here I'll be playing through this map and I'm just going to quickly fast forward this particular map. Now what you're focusing is my experience. Look at the way we're getting experience. I have been leveling it slowly and I realized there's tons of mistakes I have made. And after fixing those mistakes, I am now leveling much faster. So within the span of 5 minutes of this video, which I'll show you guys the full replay, I was able to get pretty much 100% gain of my experience. And look at my character over here. You can see previously I was level 83. Within 5 minutes of that map, I was level 84. So how did this happen? And there is also another thing that I want to share with you guys. So here, what I want to share with you is, notice over here, I am killing this boss. And what you're going to see is after killing the boss, you will actually drop special Atlas point books. You have to know where to kill the boss, where to get the books, because this will help you to get better experience, better loots, and also better stuff in general. So here, again, I'll show you guys over here. You can see that here, notice my Atlas points are not full, but I am getting Atlas points over here, which will increase the map difficulty of the boss, giving me additional loots, additional chance of dropping waystones, additional strong boxes, and also even better area bosses, which will increase the level of the boss, providing better loots. So this video, I have discovered two important things. The first one is, let me teach you guys how to get tons of experience much faster. And oh boy, I was level 80 for the past few days because I was doing this completely wrong. And within one map, we gained 1 level of experience. And those experience are no joke. So let me show you guys at the start of the map. So you can see the start. I needed around, how much is that? I need around 60 million experience level. At the end of that run, I have gotten close to 80 million experience within 5 minutes. And here is actually the first takeaway you need to understand about experience. Is that look at this thing. Look at this thing on top. It says I have to complete tier 10 maps 8 times. I'm currently 3 out of 8. And what I have been doing in the past few days, as I have spent time after making videos, is I've been doing the tier 1s, tier 2s, tier 3s, all the way up to tier 10. At the start, it will take you 10 maps to complete. Now it's requiring me 8 maps. And here, yes, I have prepared tier 10 maps and I was doing that. And recently, I have just discovered that there is a small plus sign on the tier 10. So you can clear anything beyond tier 10, even tier 10, to complete this particular quest. Completing this quest will give you additional Atlas points over here. But if you're just completing tier 10 maps, this will actually give me experience penalty because my level is much higher than the map. And what we should be doing is we should be attempting maps with the highest difficulty with better experience gain to provide to us. So as a better example, what you can see over here is I am doing the quest which asked me to do tier 10 plus maps. And here I tested with a tier 11 map. And guess what guys, after testing this one, it works as expected. I used a tier 11 map to clear the tier 10 quest. And this is the first mistake I think most of us, maybe you guys have made it, maybe you haven't. So you do not have to match the level of the quest. You can clear this one for much higher level, and I have started to clear tier 15 maps instead of tier 10 maps because I have to do 8 tier 10, 8 tier 11, and this will take ages. This is one of the biggest reasons I was slow on leveling. Now on top of that, did you know that you can find or even buy special rare maps with a much bigger experience bonus? And the towers you add on as you juice those maps can even give you better experience. Now for those of you that is not sure about juicing, make sure you come over to this video, which even have a lot of detailed guide notes that is summarized that will here to help you with every part of Atlas planning. And I will be adding this guide to that as well. So notice this particular map will actually give me 30% increase experience. Now this is not going to be the hardest map, but it is also a tier 16 map. So the higher the map level is, the better experience it is. And if you can find a map like this with 30% experience, it's even better. Now you might be saying, hey Matt, how are you going to find maps like that? Well, here I have a few of the filters. Some of the filters will help you to increase the monster level. Some of the filters will help you to find better tier 16 or tier 15 maps that gives you better experience. And combining with those two methods, look at this one. So basically, I was attempting this map, and yes, I was able to get a lot of experience within 5 minutes. And this can allow me to power level and also push down through a lot of content. Now the question is, how do you clear high tier maps? After this video, I'll share with you guys my current build, which is a little different to our current endgame build, as you can see my skills. So Oh, that's not right. As you can see my skills over here, and also I'm using a few of the different active spells, which I'll go through you guys with the next builder's guide, because there's a lot to go through, right? So coming back to the guide, the bigger thing is once you can clear tier 15 and also tier 16 maps, especially maps that provide you with a bonus experience with much higher level. Notice that this particular map, when I was about to enter, this is the tier 18 map, and this is one of the ways you can juice up the map using a previous method, and I'll still go through with you guys over here, how to juice up the maps, finding double increased level over here, and then how to get the tier 16 maps for a tier 18 map for the best experience gain. I'm not here for loot, I'm not here for anything special, I'm just here for the experience, and this works perfectly. I will share this part of the video to show you guys the experience gain. Now the second part, which is also a pretty important discovery, now because I'm doing tier 15 maps, what I start to realize is you can start to get those points. I'm not sure if you guys have gotten this. I should have gotten the final point. I made several mistakes, which I also share with you guys, which you can avoid and save you lots of time and also currency. The first time to get those points, you have to clear a tier 15 map on a boss map. So to show you guys over here, you can see this is a tier 15 map with a boss map. How do you find a boss map? Let me show you guys over here. The boss maps are indicated by those icons with a little scale over here. If you hover over this, this is a boss map. If you put a tier 15 map over there, for the first time you clear this one, you will be able to gain additional skill points. And you'll be gaining 2 skill points each time you do this, if you do this correctly. Now there's a few tricks and some mistakes you have to avoid. The first thing is, you have to be the one opening the map. I tried the tier 17 map with my friend, but he was the one opening the map. I did not get the extra skill points. As the player, to get the skill points, you have to be the one opening the map. And once you open the map, you'll find the boss, and this will start to drop experience of Atlas books. Those Atlas books are amazing, and you really want to get those, because once you get those and you unlock those, this will actually push your experience and also gain even further. The map bosses will be more difficult, you'll be getting better quantity of items, which is massive buff, you'll be getting way more Waystones, which is a huge buff, and here you get additional strong boxes and even better boss levels, and this means this increases the level even further to push for tier 19 after tier 18, which is going to be crazy. So here you can see that I attempted the first one with tier 15 map. The second one you want to attempt is a tier 15 map with an increase of level. So notice here this particular icon over here. I'll come back to the game, probably easy to show you guys over here. So notice there will be icons that is around those. So notice there are icons like those. Let me take this out. There's icons like those corrupted +1. There's also irritated +1. You want to find a way to have at least 1 +1 coming from the boss together with a +1. This is when you can use a tier 15 map. Now, during this time, it is possible for you guys to use any of those. What are those? Okay, it's over here. So it's possible to use any of those tablets to just increase the level of the maps around it when this boss is around. And that's what I did. So let me show you guys over here. You can see the boss level over here, they have been increased by 1 coming from the watchtowers. And this means if I put a map of tier 15 in, this will become a tier 16 map. The second book you get is coming from a tier 16 map. Now, there is another mistake I have made, which I'll explain to you guys very soon, probably do it now. So you can see over here, during this time, I was able to clear one of those high tier maps with a lot of increased levels. But what's going to happen is it did not drop me a skill book because, I'll show you, the boss died. It drops on those a lot of tier 15 maps because I have the passive, but it didn't drop me skill books simply because I forgot to add my final 2 points in. If you don't add the new points you get, if you keep those and not adding them, the next boss will not give you bonus skill books. You have to add those 2 points in before you attempt the next boss of high difficulty. And in case you're wondering which one to take, usually taking a strong box means you get a lot more rares and also more loots, so it's preferable to do this, and you have to pack this in before you attempt the next boss. So the first time you do a tier 15 boss, you can just do it without having those points because you don't have any. The second time you do it, for tier 16 boss, you have to pack those points in to do that. And then for tier 17 boss, you pack those 2 points in to do the next one. And finally for tier 18 boss, you pack those points in to do the next one. If you make the mistake like me, I wasted a tier 18 map with level 82 because of this, because I actually forgot to pack those points. So please be careful with this part. So to summarize the method of getting additional atlas points through the map bosses, basically what you're doing is you are finding the maps and also you're starting with tier 15. And once you start with tier 15, you can see that at the start, I don't have any points. So you start with tier 15, you put it in, you go for the boss, you kill the boss, you get the book, you add the points into the book, and then you go find tier 16. You can use a tier 15 map at this time and find a map with a +1 level. And it has to be a boss icon, keep that in mind. So you do that, and then you kill the boss, and you get another book. I'll show you guys the book. So yes, very important to follow this step by step. I made several mistakes while testing this, so notice this is the second book. You get the second book, you perk the second point in, and then you go for the third boss. Let me show you guys the third boss. Now, it gets a little harder to find increased level of monsters, and this is when you can consider getting yourself a corrupted tier 16 map. So tier 16 plus level 1 will become tier 17. You need to increase the level of the difficulty of the boss you fight while adding the points in the passives over here while you add all the points you get, and also each time increase the level of the maps you're fighting. So tier 17 over here, plus having the boss on the map, plus the level 1, this will give me a tier 17. So 16 plus 1, 17, right? Now, the question is, how do you get corrupted maps? Well, I have a few to show you guys. I can do this manually. I actually found a few plus 16 manually like this, and you can buy those maps from other players. Currently, they're selling anywhere from 6 to 8 Exile. This might not seem to be very cheap, but you just have to do this 1 or 2 times to get all your atlas points. So coming back to the replay, you can see that I start the tier 17 map. I'm going to run around, I'm going to kill the boss, and killing the boss gives me the third book. And here is where I made the mistake. After getting the third book, I rushed to find a tier 18 boss, which I'll teach you guys how to find a tier 18 boss. And after rushing to kill the tier 18 boss, I forgot to add my previous 2 points. Notice the boss did not drop anything. Massive mistake. I wasted Exile on buying the map. I wasted a juiced up map that has +2 levels on it with a boss icon, which is like a massive one, like something like this one. I wasted something like this. And this is a massive mistake I want you guys to avoid. So make sure each time you get additional points, you have to perk it in before you go for the next tier of the boss. So let me show you guys the tier of the boss I attempted over here. So this is a boss map with +1 level, and also a tier 16 map. And you can see over here a tier 16 map with bonus experience, which is a double benefit. Now, if you're not sure how to juice up maps to tier 18, make sure you watch this previous video. It will teach you everything, guys. Make sure you definitely check it out. And during this time, if you're farming the perfect jewelers in the previous video, we do have a doc that is shared by our friends that has to show you where the biomes for each of the maps, which will help you to farm things even better. So check out those maps, check out those guides as you farm the atlas. Now, briefly to teach you guys how to get the maps to tier 18, which is essentially important, and I just wasted one over here simply because I attempted the boss and I didn't add the points in. So the first thing you want to find on the map is going to be a boss icon that has +1 level, right? But sometimes those boss icons with +1 level can be a little misleading. You don't want to find the irradiated one because you can actually buff this one yourself. In order to get a tier 18 map with +2 levels, what you want is you want to find a boss icon together with a corrupted +1. So I actually used the ones before, so it's harder to find. So here's one. So notice the red icons over here. I'll show you guys what the red icon says, if I can find it as well. Okay, so this red icon calls corrupted. This icon is irradiated. You can buff irradiated using your tablets. You cannot buff corrupted. It has to be randomly rolled available already on the map. So what you're looking for in order to get a tier 18 map with a boss is something with this, a scale and also a corrupted. And then you're going to try to add a watchtower and try to throw this in, try to get to this point. But there's a lot of things in between, right? And this is why, again, I refer you back to that video because there's a secret method, well, explained here, but you watch that for more details. So the buffs that you put on here will only affect 10 maps. In order to eliminate maps that you don't want the buffs to land on, you're going to clear those empty maps first, like those. Once those are cleared, those cannot receive the +1 buff, so giving even greater chance of landing the buff onto this one. So you have to prep your work. You have to prepare before you land onto this one. And once you land onto this one correctly, what you're going to see is, you notice over here, I landed both the buffs of the tablet together with the map already having the boss icon and also having the +1, giving me a level 82 map. Now, I did mention to talk about how to get tier 16 maps. So here are some demonstrations. Usually with tier 15 maps, you can turn a regular orb onto them, but you can see in some videos, I actually prefer to use the blue ones, simply because the blue ones are easier. So if you want to guarantee yourself to pass the tier 15, tier 16, tier 17 maps, I will show you guys over here. You can see this is the tier 15 map. I wasn't sure if I can clear it, and I actually used a blue map because I was level 79 at the time, and I was actually scared the boss would be quite difficult. So you can see that adding a blue map, which is magical map, doesn't give me the best drop rate, but it guarantees that I can clear the bosses and get the book. So sometimes you gotta make the trade-off. You're here for the book, right? You just make sure you don't die for the book, because you can die with tier 15 maps. It gets a little harder. So yes, you can clear the lower tier maps just having the magical ones. And then of course, if you want to juice things up, you can use a regular orb onto it, but I don't recommend getting exalted orbs onto the rare ones, which will make things harder and also even more difficult. So in order to get it, I'm actually going to juice this up a little bit because I think I can clear them pretty safely. So once you have the blue ones, or if you have the already rare ones with regular orbs, and then you have to velvet to try to get a tier 16. Let's see if we get lucky. We don't get lucky over here, but I have gotten a few, but I forgot to record. So this is the cheaper way of you getting the tier 16 map, just using the vel orbs after you think the map is okay. Now try to find maps that is not difficult, because again, you're here to kill the boss. You don't want extra damage from the boss, you don't want lower players resistance, you don't want damage to penetrate resistance, you don't want monsters to have high health. What you can do around this time is, you can actually count and also search for the maps that is available for tier 16. So here you can search for tier 16. Tier 15 is much cheaper, and if you don't have a tier 15, this is how you start. You buy a tier 15, you play to get the first 2 Atlas points. And then you can look into a tier 16, which is more expensive, but ideally you just need 1 or 2 of those and to clear tier 17 and so tier 18. During this time, try to find anything that is much easier. Something like this is good because it doesn't make the monster stronger. But something like this, extra cold damage, monster deal additional critical hits, or something that is a little crazy and monster do a lot of crazy things, you might want to avoid it just so that you can clear the map to kill the boss. So now that you know the whole process, I'll also share this video with you guys. The first part is where you actually get a lot of experience. So notice this is actually my attempt right before this video. I did everything correctly, except I made the mistake of forgetting to add the last 2 Atlas points. Even though I'm attempting a tier 18 map, which is supposedly to give me the final 2 skill points before attempting the cathedral. So you'll get 8 points, the final 2 points once you do the tier 18 map. And then the final points you get as you attempt the cathedral and also the higher, stronger uber bosses will come over here. So here we're trying to get all the 8 points. But during that time, you're going to see this run, I go all the way to kill the boss, and I realize the boss did not drop, which is very sad. I also messed up my skill rotations a little bit, as you're going to see in the replay. It's like, oh man, face palming. Because I didn't know it was a map for the boss. I was switching my gears ready for the boss. I was panicking. But good I didn't die though. So yes, I made a few mistakes, but we cleared the tier 18 map, even when I'm level 83, which is really good. But the boss did not drop the book because I messed up. You can see here, I checked, I realized, oh my gosh, I forgot to add the points. So yes, very, very important for you to learn those mistakes and avoid those mistakes, because once you add those points, that's how you get the final 2 points. Yes, hopefully the video is not too complicated, and I try to cover everything as I can and share you guys this replay and use the timestamps below to see how I did things. Again, if you want to learn how to juice up maps, get your tier 15, 16, 17, 18 maps, you have to understand this video and learn the tricks of how to target buff with your towers. Because once you learn the tricks of target buffing with towers, what's going to happen is, actually I used a few towers, what's going to happen is you can eliminate ones you don't want and target buff the ones you want. I'll show you guys some of the good buffs. Notice here I landed some of the good ones here, and here I landed a lot of the nice ones over here. So if you target buff the ones you want, I clear those so I can get those correctly. Now, before we finish, if you guys haven't subscribed, this is a really good time to do so because I'll be looking into the latest Path of Exile 2 news on different communities and also on our official forum, official webpage. I'll also be looking into the best build for each of the class as the meta develops with the Chinese and also the English community. So stay tuned for the latest update and also guides for Path of Exile 2. And of course, this is going to be a big month for us. And I'll try to bring you guys all of the latest content and also guides for Path of Exile 2 to come.